interlude before night falls. Guys, sorry, I just realized I have the mouse on the screen. And I hope that doesn't bother you, because that's like the only way I can tell where on my monitor I'm at. I'll try to move that over here. Don't think it's gonna work. Hope it just doesn't bother you. Now that I put it out, it's gonna bother some of you guys. I know that for sure. It happens to me all the time. Anyway, let's get back to the story. It is a day just like any other, so normal that it was almost painful. The only special thing that could be said about it is that it's October 31st. Far were the memories when I was a kid and went out with my friends to ask for sweets from house to house. Just remembering, it made me sigh. I feel nostalgic. Some things were better when I was a child, or at least seems like that. There were some who had gotten good costumes, whether superheroes or monsters. My friend and I, on the other hand, had to use our imagination. Creativity was our costume, you could say, no matter how funny it could sound. I remember that my mother once painted red my face. What? I remember that my mother once painted red my face. That's how it is. Okay. And told me, you will be the devil. Hey. But it seems only that she saw it that way. When we went from home to home, everyone said it was just a tomato man. I'm sorry, I can just imagine some dude just walking around with a red face, like a little leaf on top, just adding that shit, and everyone calling him a damn tomato man. Whew. Anyway, but those things didn't matter to me since we always had a good time. If I asked for candy now, even if I had the best costume, I'm sure no one would give me anything. Except perhaps scolding for acting like a child when I'm 17 years old. Hey man, don't let anyone put you down. If you want to go trick-or-treating, if you're 17, 18, 57, or 93, you get your ass out trick-or-treating. You're behind the costume, no one's gonna know. But anyway, I can't stay in the past. I must live in the present, no matter how little exciting that might be. I mean, that's some true shit, to be honest. Alright, are they gonna come back to the cat, or what was the point of that? They're leaving me on a big cliffhanger and it's just like grabbing my balls right now. I need to actually know. Back to reality. We're a group of friends who don't have any plans for the day. We're still not old enough to go to a disco. And I doubt guys as us would have any luck in that environment. The other option would be to party, meet girls, and have fun. Everything's perfect except that nobody has invited us. Not even being popular has its disadvantages. Hey Axel, let's have a couple matches. What do you say? My friend Steven called my attention while playing with the game console. What you playing though? Rush Red. I believe that's what the game is called. A fast and quiet, complicated fighting game for me. I would normally agree to play with him, but for some reason I didn't feel in the mood today. I have no desire to play now. I replied with a discouragement. So I'm Axel? Hold on, am I Axel? Okay. I played with discouragement. I almost felt bad for doing it. Boring. The IA has no rival for me. Steven said with confidence. That you're playing on normal difficulty does not help your argument. Fucking noob. I don't feel like losing. But if you want, you can challenge to Alfred. I said, leaning my attention to my other friend. I don't know how to play that, answered Alfred's, doubting for a second. He is sitting behind the PC, but it seems that he isn't doing anything interesting. The screen only shows a lot of text. I think he is in Wikipedia. Hey, don't you have something more fun to do? As was discouragement, without even thinking about what he was reading. Alfred looks at me surprised. The actual problems of society is that people are not interested in discovering their history. He's one of those... I have no idea what that word means. Pseudo? Pseudo? He is one of those pseudo intellectuals, always looking for any rare information to appear smarter than others. When we forget our past, mistakes are doomed to repeat them. That's true, he added later. What are you talking about? This village is small, and the story is not interesting at all. Nothing outside of the normal has ever happened in it. Alfred laughs mockingly after hearing that. Your ignorance is worthy of praise. He pauses, filling his chest with pride. The very fact is that it is a small town is the reason it's full of mysteries. Did you know that 20 years ago, on this date, a man disappeared? That was a cat, wasn't it? So, what about it? I asked without being impressed or even interested in the least. Things like that happen all the time, in all places. As I thought, you don't know the history despite living in this very place, Alfred said while just adjusting his glasses in an arrogant gesture. There's a legend behind the disappearance. That is what I was reading. After listening to him, I looked back in the computer screen with curiosity. It's then that I noticed that it is not Wikipedia but some other page. Come on, read this and learn a little. You illiterate fuck! Alfred is inviting us to read what was on the screen. Both Stephen and I moved closer to read it. I forgot Stephen's voice already. Town of Uppingham, Oxford Country, 1994. I was in this very town with only 4,000 inhabitants to support them in an investigation. Truth is that never in my life I have seen something this strange. I won't say your typical detective-ish nonsense that I have seen thousands of strange things in my life. I've seen many crimes, yes, some difficult to solve, but all of them were human. Even if you don't know how they managed to perpetrate the crime, you know that they are people like anyone else. In this case, I don't think I'm able to say the same thing. Truth is, I can't understand what happened. There's something called setup down here. I don't know what that is. I was called for the disappearance of a man named Matthew Graham, 23 years, single. The last time he was seen was returning to a home of Halloween party. He had drank alcohol, but was still sober. Or at least, that's what witnesses said. Anyways, this is not something which can be explained with a simple drunkenness. He disappeared. He apparently got lost on the way home and decided to enter the forest called Oakwood. It had rained yesterday, so the ground was wet and muddy. We could easily find his traces, which were leading deep inside of the forest. Apparently, he walked over 3 hours before stopping. I say stop, but the truth is, we don't know what happened then. The trek suddenly ended up in a clearing in the forest, and that's all. There was no evidence of struggle, no other trace, no pieces of clothing on the ground. There was no blood, no more footprints, or anything else. The distance of his last footprints and the position that they were indicating, he was still walking. At no point he stood still. It was as if he had vaporized in the air, with all his clothes, in the middle of his walk. Obviously, I can't believe such a thing, but I can't give another explanation. The only thing I remembered is that near the footprints I sensed a faint smell of rot. However, there were no animals, corpses nearby. It was ridiculous to think he had suddenly started to decay and became earth. And the end of the case was just closed in 3 days. With no evidence of any kind, we couldn't say anything, but he decided to escape from the village. However, while officially there was no more to do, I couldn't sleep in peace. Thinking about what could have happened to him, took away my sleep. In my mind, I thought all sorts of theories. Like maybe everything was just a plan to develop by Matthew. But in the end, they all seemed impossible. I decided to investigate more on the issue. I searched the town for similar stories, and to my surprise I found 4 more. All young men. The story was always the same. They walked into the forest alone, disappearing without a trace. Even more curious is that all of them disappeared on the same date, October 31st. But there's more. A detail that completely eliminated the possibility that there is a killer kidnapper behind this, and that the separation of the years, and is the separation of the years. Roger Bacon disappeared in 1924. Mitchell Smith disappeared in 1867. Jason Black disappeared in 1813. And worst of all, Oswald Taylor disappeared in 1707. It simply couldn't be possible. My curiosity led me to dig deeper. I thought that the answer may be in the past of the forest. It was then I discovered that what had seemed so simple and boring forest could actually hit a great story. Before it was called Oakwood or Oaks Forest, the place was called Witchwood. The word witch was huge similarity with witch. Taking into consideration that it is the old name of the language changes over time, that indicates that it was the forest of witches. Apparently more than 400 years ago, the people of the village believed witches lived in the woods. Unfortunately, almost all the information is already lost. They were stories told in voice, without a properly written record. I just know that with the change of religion to Christian, people stopped seeing the witches with good eyes and began to hunt them. Apparently the last one, before her death, cast a curse on the forest, which even today continues to exist. Anyway, obviously I cannot accept something like that as the answer. In the end, I have no other choice than accepting that each of them escaped from the village, using the legend of the forest to make it look like it was just something supernatural. Interesting story. I didn't know such a story was hiding in this town. I said honestly surprised. Even if it was a lie, it managed to hold my interest. Wait, there's something more, Alfred said at the same time he scrolls through the comments. We read what is written there. A couple of comments caught our attention. Both of them talk about some creature. At that time, they felt horrible fear for what could have happened to them. Well, two comments share great similarities, but they could have been written by the same person. There are many others that deny it. Looks like many people went to the forest because of the legend, but couldn't find anything. I thought that you said that these things to look more cool before the girls. What? I don't know if this is my type of English or what's going on. Sorry about that. Replied Stephen as a joke. Alfred giggles with a little shame. Partly, yes. He admitted it. That was a secret everyone silently knew. Well, now we have the activity for tonight, Stephen said at the same time he makes a face overflowing with enthusiasm. What? I asked, completely lost. I thought we were just killing time. Simple, let's go to the forest. Stephen replied without hesitation. He seemed really fascinated by the story. Are you insane? Said Alfred, unable to believe what he just heard. You only needed to look at his face to know he did not like the idea. Despite everything you've heard, you want to go? Of course! It would be a test of courage among us three, replied Stephen full of confidence. Perhaps too much. He should relax a bit. Don't tell me you're afraid. No. Why should I be afraid? Answered Alfred at the same time he folds his arms, making a false gesture of security. It's more than obvious that you are afraid, Alfred. Almost as much when you have... I'm sorry. Almost as much as when you had to talk to a girl. And what... Oh shit. And what about you, Axel? Don't tell me you don't come. Suddenly Stephen asked me, at the same time looking at me mockingly. Don't tell me you want to be the chicken of the group. I hate the tone of his voice he used. I will never give you that! I said without thinking, showing a confident smile and look. Alright guys, for real, don't fall for peer pressure. That's all bullshit. People are just like manipulating you, and that just kind of shows a sign of weakness. So you gotta stand up for yourself, you know? Alright. Well, let's not say more. Take your coats, backpacks, flashlights, and some food. We are going to the forest. Steven said, full of energy. Ah! We all said in unison as we were going to have some kind of private party, not really knowing what we were doing or what we were going to find. 2:13 a.m.